You know the scene, right? Your team is working flat out. Their calendars are absolutely packed, but nothing's really getting done. Progress has just stopped. So what if the problem isn't your team at all? What if it's actually the very things we're all taught make a good leader?
I mean, that's the real paradox, isn't it? Your calendar is jammed. Your team looks incredibly busy, but for some reason, the needle just isn't moving. It feels like everyone's running on a treadmill, just burning a ton of energy, but going absolutely nowhere. So what is this invisible force that's holding everything back?
Okay, so to figure out what's causing this busy standstill, we've got to challenge some of the most common ideas about leadership. And we're going to start with probably the biggest one of all, the myth of the open door.
Yeah, you know this playbook by heart. We're told to be constantly available, right? Keep that open door policy. Get your hands dirty in every single key decision. Your calendar should be booked solid from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's supposed to be the hallmark of a great, engaged leader. But what if it's not a sign of support? What if it's actually a trap? See, the whole idea is that our availability as leaders is what drives the company forward. We're the engine. But what if that's completely wrong? What if we're not an engine at all? To really get why, we have to look at this in a totally different way, through the lens of physics.
So let's completely reframe this whole problem. Forget management theory for a second, and let's talk about the physics of the office. I know, it sounds a little out there, but trust me, it gives us this incredibly powerful new way to see what's really going on with our teams.
And that brings us to the one question that just flips this entire idea on its head. Is your open door policy actually a black hole? Seriously, think about that. What if all your availability, all that helpfulness, is actually trapping progress instead of setting it free? And that right there is the core idea we're digging into.
We call this the gravity well. It's this phenomenon where the more a leader gets involved, the more they become this point of gravity, and everything around them just starts to slow down. All that involvement, which you thought was accelerating things, has accidentally become the single biggest bottleneck in the whole system.
So how does this gravity well even get created? Well, it all comes down to the sheer weight of your authority. Your role, your title, it has mass. And just like a massive star in space, that authority literally bends the environment around you.
And this is where we need a really crucial shift in our thinking. The old myth, you could call it Newtonian management, sees the leader as a force, someone who directly pushes projects forward. But the reality? It's much more like Einstein's General Relativity. The leader isn't a force, the leader is a mass that literally bends the project environment. You're not just pushing things along, you're warping the space they exist in.
We call this your organizational mass. It's the invisible weight of your title, your authority, your influence. And think about it. Every single time you walk into a room or join a Zoom call or jump into a Slack thread, you are inserting that mass. And when you do, you fundamentally change the shape of the conversation, the team's focus, and the project itself.
And this is where the real problem starts. Because when you have too much organizational mass, you completely change what your team revolves around. They end up falling into what we call the solar system trap.
Just picture a project's ideal path, right? It should be a straight shot, a direct line towards solving a customer's problem. That's the goal. But once that gravity well forms, that straight line starts to bend. It curves and gets pulled into orbit around one central object: you.
And this is the critical, dangerous shift. The second your team starts orbiting you, they stop solving problems for the customer. Their entire focus changes, and real, meaningful innovation, it just grinds to a halt.
Instead of building and solving, all of their energy shifts to managing up. Their work is no longer about the customer, it's about preparing for your next review. It's about crafting the perfect update deck, anticipating your questions. The goal isn't to deliver value anymore, it's just to give you a good status report.
And this quote just nails the final result. You thought by being so involved, you were creating alignment. But you haven't. You've created a solar system. A solar system with you at the very center, where everything is stuck in your gravitational pull.
Okay, so all of this brings us to a pretty critical moment of self-reflection, right? Once you understand this concept, it forces you to ask a really fundamental question about your own leadership style and the effect you're actually having.
So you have to be really honest with yourself and ask this: are you an engine pushing your team forward and giving them thrust? Or have you become a massive object, a center of gravity that's forcing them to orbit around you? Because the answer to that question, well, it changes absolutely everything.
So here's the takeaway, the call to action. The goal is to reduce your organizational mass. You have to consciously step out of the center and let your team travel in that straight line toward the customer again. It's time to escape the orbit, it's time to escape the well and start driving real progress.